Hello. Just a quick backstory for those that haven't been following the Twitch stream. This is a video recounting of my trip to the Las Vegas Open, one of the biggest Warhammer 40,000 tournaments in the United States. And leading up to this big event, we had been building and painting the army I brought over on my Twitch stream. Link in the description below. I wanted to post this here for posterity and also to allow people who missed the live stream to follow up on how it all went. If any of this is interesting, you know, an average Joe's kind of experience at a big competitive tournament, or Warhammer painting and building, be sure to check out the live streams, and maybe I'll post more of that in a more video-friendly format here as well. Without further stalling, here is my tales of LVO 2020. So, this is my first time going to LVO and to the 40K Champions League. There's two questions so far that I have, which is, did I feel more prepared than last year? So last year, I went to the friendly tournament, which meant that I went to the friendly tournament, which was, it's less competitive theoretically, and people are there just to have fun. So I thought that I was ahead of the game this year, painting wise, but then I felt then when it came down to it, I had like 2 weeks left, and I felt like I was rushing through it. So less prepared on that front, more prepared rules-wise. I feel like I was less stressed going to the friendly because I'd played that army a lot. I brought my Astra Militarum or Imperial Guard army. Whereas this time I was bringing an army that I didn't have a lot of experience actually playing. It's a theoretically more competitive list, but I did get a couple comments during the tournament that it was not a competitive list, which I expected a little bit of that. It was not the top tier list, and we'll go over the list as I go to those pictures. So on one front, I felt less prepared because I hadn't played the army as much, and also I guess hobby-wise I was less prepared because I ended up having to paint a lot at the end. But the last week, I finished, was it Monday? Like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but when I flew out Thursday, I was feeling pretty relaxed on the painting. I'd gotten everything to a point where I knew I was going to be okay. This new 3-color minimum that they had, not 3-color minimum, the like hobby standard that they had required. I had painted enough to where I didn't feel like I was in any danger of getting models pulled. There was some discussion of any conversions you had to get like pre-approved. Well, this time I felt like although all of my conversions are pretty like standard, pretty minimal, there was a lot of discussion on this little group chat we had of everyone that was going with us that made me worried, even though I had no right to be really. But next year, if I do any conversions, I'll have to just pre-send the email. The problem was I hadn't finished the conversion when the main point of emailing them was a thing. So I got overly worried, but really for no reason. Okay, so let's see. LVO 2020. Oh, I guess the other question was the difficulty level drastically different than last year? Yes, because I was going to the Champions League, which is all the competitive players. My goal was to win one game, and I guess, spoiler out of the bag, well, I guess maybe we'll go through it. We'll go through it. I don't know if I want to tell everyone at the beginning of the video, when this or if becomes a video that goes on YouTube, what my record was. We'll kind of go through each game, and we can discuss it then. So this was 2 weeks before I flew out to LVO, I think. It was like, because there was the Martin Luther King Day weekend that I spent all weekend painting, and so this is the week before that. So yeah, 2 weeks before flying to the tournament, I went to a small, because going rogue trader tournaments are like basically a small store. I think there was 8 people. It's at this game store in SF, and as you can see, half of my army. Wait, that's weird. I'm pointing this way, but that's half of my army is basically unpainted. I had 3 tanks that were just primed. I had my 2 Dune Princes just primed. We can just kind of go over the list too, I guess. So I had one big blob of Plague Bearers. There was 30 of them with the command, so Champion, Musician, Standard Bearer. I had 3 float drones, which the 2 like flamer Plague Spitters on them that kind of shot these disgusting streams of green that are pretty good. And then I had the 3 Plague Burst Crawlers, or the tanks that have the mortars that don't need line of sight, which is pretty good. You can see kind of in the middle there, here I can actually point my mouse. This guy is called a Chaos Decimator. He's a Dreadnought guy. And the key with this list is that everything had the demon keyword because of this guy here, which also not painted, called Epidemius, and he buffs everyone. Every kill that anyone in the army gets, it adds to the tally and makes everything stronger a little bit. That didn't come. The only time that really came into factors is when I was already winning. So the games I was like doing really well in, and if he dies, all those buffs go away. So he's very important to kind of hide him in the back. So of my army, I had the 30 guys painted. I had the 2 characters, Slopperty, Bilepiper, and the Poxbringer. And then I had 6 of the Nurglings painted, but I had 3 that were unpainted. You can't really see, this one kind of goes off screen, but there's 3 there. Yeah, so that's, if you mean model count, I was more painted, but these little guys don't add up to, a whole tank. So I had 30 guys, 30, 31, 32, 3, 34, 35, 36, 7, 38. I had 38 models painted and 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14 unpainted. But they were the big guys. And so I was a little worried, but I had a full weekend to get them painted. And a lot of the painting we did here on stream. This is a good image. Can I move the, I can't really move this around. A lot of these people, people on stream saw me paint them. These are the plague bringers we painted, and it was because of the stream. This is actually the picture that kind of shows the different swords we were gonna do. And what we ended up doing was the really blue one, which I think if I do this, was this really blue sword we did here. So yeah, stream got to choose what swords we decided to go with. This like obsidian one in the middle here is more the standard of what like a lot of the box art has, and this one over here, I don't know what I was trying to do with that one. It's just kind of like a hazy blue, I guess. And then I also did like a green one that was just like a plaguey color. But this blue color actually turned out really well. And I actually got a lot of compliments on it. So good job, stream, that we decided to do that one. Here I am on the plane, getting ready to leave. Can I, whoops, I make this a little small. Oh God, every time I do the wrong shortcut. This is me on the plane. This is me looking worried on the plane. So this is flying Thursday morning. And so I fly to LA, I check into my hotel, all of that goes fine. I go downstairs. This is the check-in line to pick up your badges, any pre-order stuff you had. And so you can kind of see the line here. This is the check-in booth way down here. The line curved around this way, made an S curve here, went all the way back down there. So I was like right on the U of it here. Yeah, it went pretty fast, surprisingly. It went pretty fast. I went, I don't know. I think Andy said he was in line for about 45 minutes. That was another thing. So I went with my friend Andy, and he saw a friend in line, and he went up to cut with him. But I didn't know this guy. I'd never met him before. And actually, I only met him once during the whole show. And I felt awkward cutting, so I didn't cut. I just stayed where I was. And actually, I talked to a person who was ranked pretty highly in the Kill Team tournament, which is a different game. So it was nice. I still talk to some people in line because we were all there for like a specific hobby. So, so after waiting in line and getting all my tickets and stuff, and I think I didn't have to go up to the room yet. Yeah, I just walked around. There was the vendor area, which was very small compared to like Gen Con or Comic Con, the people selling stuff. There was probably like 10 booths. I don't know if I took a picture of it. There's like only 10 booths that are actually selling things. Everywhere else is just game tables. So after all that, they had the Warhammer preview nights. This is the Games Workshop company showing a preview only to us. What it's kind of weird about is like they'll talk about all this stuff and you get to hear them, they'll show pictures and everything. You're not allowed to record anything of it. And then they pretty much release it like 3 hours later anyway to the website. I should have probably taken pictures from the website and brought it up here. But there wasn't too much that was super interesting. They introduced some new High Elf stuff into Age of Sigmar. They're releasing the new Gazgul Thraka miniature, nothing huge. But it was really fun to go. I went last year and they introduced all of the Sisters of Battle stuff, and I was super excited about that. But it's just a fun thing. And there were some rowdy guys. They were already so pretty heavily drinking had already started for some people. I had not. I was pretty calm. And so here is a flashback. This is me, day one. I'm wearing my Nurgle shirt. It has kind of Papa Nurgle on it. Yeah, Vegas definitely lets you drink a lot. And then this is me last year. The beard's different. Hair looks about the same. I think those are the same glasses. Last year I was in the friendly tournament. I didn't get to I didn't play. We didn't play Friday. We only played Saturday, Sunday. So I was just walking around the hall and I met up with other people who I knew were playing in Champions. But this day I was playing. This is me pre-first game, just like waiting for my opponent to set up. But it's interesting to see like I actually brought this shirt here with me to wear on my second day. But I was representing my Nurgle green that day. Here's just a random picture. So one of the guys we came with, he was only bringing paint. So this is his checked-in bag. You can see all the little paint pots, which are a lot like the ones we have been using on stream. But he actually put tape over them so they didn't get opened up in shipping, I guess. But what's interesting is like I was going to play games, but this guy, he went to just do a couple painting competitions. He ended up winning first place at this model. So you bring a model, and then for 2 days, 8 hours each day, you paint that model only in those time periods, and then you submit it for judging. He actually got first place in that painting. He's a really good painter. His name's Eric. He works and plays at the SF store that I'm going to now. So it's just really interesting. This is his checked bag, all taped up paint pots. This was taken the second day, but this is like the main group that we went with. Let's see if I can expand this a little bit, because there's another person on this end. So I met a lot of these guys day of. There's me. This is my friend Andy. This is Austin. This is Gordon. Andy I've known for a while. We worked at ILM together for a little while. This guy's name's Ian, I think. This is James. This is Way. This is Trent. And this is Jeff. The players that I thought were going to do really good this tournament was going to be Way and Jeff. They're both kind of like pretty high-ranked players. And speaking of Sisters of Battle, James here has been playing there for 20 years. He's actually wearing, it's hard to see here, a Sisters of Battle t-shirt. And his army looked great. I think I have a picture coming up. But yeah, so this is our main group. We had a few more people. Eric was doing painting at the time. Our friend Jamil was off actually buying miniatures at the secondhand store. A bunch of like people will, play with models for a while, build them, paint them, and then they sold them to this company. You can go like buy these little baggies of miniatures. I looked through a couple, and in hindsight, I probably should have bought a couple of them, but I was really trying to limit my spending this time. Okay, so that's the group. Gordon here, spoiler, did very well. He went 5-1 in a 6-game tournament. He's probably the highest ranked of the players with using his Blood Angels. So this is my army now fully painted. First day, Friday morning, I put it on this little tray. So this tray is made of laser cut MDF board that I got actually from Frontline Gaming, the guys that run the tournament. Yeah, you can see everything's fine. Everything's painted. I do feel a little bad because some of these miniatures I did not paint on stream. There was, like I say, I streamed Saturday painting, and then Sunday I had a dinner thing, and I thought I would paint afterwards, but it just turned into a crazy I don't remember what went wrong. Like I was just like kind of rushing through some things. So a lot of these I had to paint off stream. We got all of our painted miniatures, and there was a few that I rushed that I probably would go back and paint more closely. The Decimator here, this Dreadnought guy, and all the tanks and bloat drones. I did a quick few things. This is where we're at right before the tournament starts. I set up my little board that actually I had to fully disassemble and then reassemble this board because it was bigger. This board is bigger than my suitcase I brought, so I had to build it there. And so this is them. Then it's a nice little tray. You can like carry it around table to table. So this is pre-round 1. I have my little dice rolling tray here that gets filled up with dice, and then you can roll in this. So don't you have to chase them on the table and stuff. I got that maybe like a year ago, and I love it, especially for playing games. So yeah, being fully painted, I felt pretty confident about that. I got some compliments. I actually met up with a dude I played with in Mountain View from Santa Cruz, and he gave me this little token because he plays also Death Guard, so it was really nice. He gave us token to help me remember one of the Death Guard rules. All right, what's the next picture? So this is it. So this is all us meeting up at a table pre-round 1. You can see all of our armies. This is my buddy Andy. That's Austin. There's Jeff there. I think this is Jeff's army here. He brought Iron Hands, which is a very competitive list. Lots of shooting. Has the repulsor tank here. I think this is Austin's here. It looks like it. He has his knight and then a bunch of guard around here. This is James's Sisters of Battle army right here. Andy's Tau army. This is Jamil's Imperial Guard army up here. And then I think this is Way's. Oh no, this is Way's. This is Jeff's. They both fought a very similar list. They're both Iron Hands successor chapters, I think, that are very shooty. Like of the armies that went to LVO, I think like 30% were Space Marines, the new Space Marines, and a lot were Iron Hands and a lot were Imperial Fists, and then a few Raven Guard here and there. And actually, one of the Raven Guard players, spoiler alert, got second place in the whole tournament. He made it to the final round. So this is me just taking pictures of the hall. We're kind of in the middle of the first 3 rows, it looks like. 1, 2, 3. So like this is one side of the hall, and then if we go over here, this is the back side of the hall. It's pretty big. I think there were over just over 3. No, that can't be right. They said there were 500 tables set up. So yeah, 500 tables. The highest number I played at was like 380, I think. But there had to have been more then, because yeah, there's a lot of tables. It's a lot of terrain. It's a lot of mats. So yeah, this is like this is the calm before the storm. Everyone's kind of like waiting around for the pairings to come up. We're using an app called BCP, Best Coast Pairings. So you log in, you check in, you have to submit your list to it. It has a couple of algorithms to confirm your list is valid. And then we're just waiting for round 1 pairings. This is Andy's friend here that he cut in line with. Don't tell anybody. When we were doing the check-in. And then this is I think this guy's name's Ian. I kind of forget. He brought Space Wolves, I think. So that was really cool. This is Andy, my friend Andy's Tau list. Triple Riptide, 3 commanders, like 9 stealth suits, and so many shield drones and marker drones that you can count. It's a pretty standard in Tau list, and actually I faced off a similar list in one of my future rounds that we'll go over. This is Andy's friend, who is now my friend Jamil, who came up from LA with us, and it's pretty cool. It's a Vostroyan list. It's a regiment of Imperial Guard, and I love Vostroyan. I own a bunch of them. They're all metal miniatures, and they have these like kind of Cossack hats. They're like a kind of bear hat. It's really hard to see in the image, but they're kind of bear. Can I zoom in a little bit? Oh, the image is blurry, but yeah, you can see the little kind of Cossack hats, it's like bear fur hats. He also has not over here. This guy, really hard to see, but he's on a bear, which is from the old Warhammer Kislev army. Yeah, I really like that. I really like his stuff. And his little tray is different than mine, has multiple levels. He's kind of like drawer things, but it's a pretty nice one. Can I now skip over? Okay. And this is my friend James's Sisters of Battle Army. I knew I took a picture of it. Really nice. He was on a little cart, which I saw carts last year and I thought about it, kind of fold out cart. The main thing I saw was one guy, he hit over these cords. This is last year, and he hit one of the cords and the whole tray toppled because they're kind of top heavy. And so I really didn't want that to happen. James did all right with his. You can also see he kind of included this underneath this like dirt gravel, so you can see that it kind of matches his army. He also did a really interesting thing, because these are older sister models that used to be on smaller bases, and they now increased the base size. So he's actually, if you look, let me do a little zoom in here, he put the smaller bases on top of the bigger bases, then added gravel and stuff on it to bulk them up, because everything had to be on the correct bases. They made a big deal of it in the pre-tournament handout, that everything had to be on the correct bases. It's also using the Apocalypse movement trays, so you can like quickly move the squads and everything. But yeah, I'd be lying if seeing his army and talking to him about Sisters of the Battle didn't get me excited to play it. So that's why I bought the book. I don't know if it's gonna be my next army, but I definitely like the idea of it. Oh yeah, Deathcore Krieg is awesome. They're awesome models. Okay. So this is me. Is this game 1? Hold on. Yes, this is game 1, right before turn 1, I believe. So I matched up. First game's always random, right? The only thing that's not going to happen, because we all signed up with our team. So right before, like a week before, everyone that I'd been playing with in SF, all my friends were like, we got to sign up a team, because if you're both on a team in the first round, you're guaranteed not to play against each other, which is really nice. It means you don't fly, halfway across the country to then play your friend. So we made a team. It's called Bay Area Super Heavies, or BASH for short. And there's been some arguments whether it's BASH with an exclamation point or just BASH, or you spell it out Bay Area Super Heavies. We haven't decided yet. I think they're leaning towards BASH as an acronym and then an exclamation point, but it didn't matter at the time. We all filled out the same thing, I think, and we all did not play each other. In fact, I didn't play anyone that I knew the whole tournament, which is great. So I get my pairings, I move my tray over there, start setting up at the table, and the guy I got up against is playing Iron Hands. And I know Iron Hands is a really strong army, and I was like, all right, I had a feeling I was going to lose. I didn't go in knowing I was going to lose, but I knew it was going to be a tough game. And so I decided just to try my best. The guy was very friendly. He came out from Singapore to play in LVO. He was very friendly. He was very professional. As you can see in the corner here, we're actually using a chess clock, which is an option at LVO. So that means when it's my turn, I'm only using my time. When it's his turn, he's in his turn, you clock over it. And you have an hour and 25 minutes, I think. And if you clock out, that means you can't do anything anymore. All you can do is roll saves. Everything else your player can do. Neither of us clocked out, which is really nice. But yeah. B says, how many points do armies have to be at LVO? It's 2,000 points. Yeah. And then in the friendly, they were using power levels last year, but I think they switched over to points for that. So last year was 100 power level for the friendly tournament and 2,000 points for the champions tournament. So yeah, he was a very, very good opponent. He had a lot of very professional play. Like he was calling out all the little auras and stratagems he was using and what they costed, and he was pointing them out to me, and like you could tell that he was playing at a caliber of play that was very refreshing. Like, and also the chess clock, I was happy to use it. I've used it a few times. I'm not an expert on it, but I going in, I felt like I'm probably not going to win this, because I looked at his list and it was an Iron Hands list. It was kind of unorthodox to me, but then talking to Wei and Jeff about it after this game, because lunch is immediately after the first round, they said they've heard of this style list before. So, but yeah, very nice guy. I think I took more pictures. I took more pictures in this round than anything else. He even offered me earplugs because it's very loud. But I declined because I feel like I like having to hear everything. So this is deployment, I believe, because this is me finished deployment. This is pre-deployment, it looks like. I don't think this is after he's killed everything. I highly doubt it. The other trick I have is, see this little paper here? What I had done was I print out, I make an army list on BattleScribe, which is the program I use, and then I get all the little entries and then I shrink them down in Photoshop, and then I put them all on 2 pages. So if I can really try to get on 1 page, that gives me all the stats, all the special rules, all the weapons they have, and then it just makes it easier. You don't have to constantly flip through BattleScribe or look through your codex. It's all on 1 sheet. Has the spells they know, or psychic powers they know, everything. And so this one I got down to 2 sheets. I did find one small error, and then I forgot to put Epidemus on them. But other than that, it's a great cheat sheet to have. Another thing that happens in tournaments is you have to print out your own list. Usually just the units that are in it and the attachments and everything, and you have to be able to give it to your opponent. So you make sure that you have, I think, 6 to 8 army lists that are printed out that you can hand to them. It's also really important for choosing secondaries in ITC. They need to know, I mean, they can also look on the app, but it's nice to give them something paper. Like here you go. And some people like to keep them as mementos. I think I kept a few of my opponent's lists that they'd given me, because some of the secondaries you have to choose, like Marked for Death or Big Game Hunter, you have to know how much power level those cost. For Marked for Death, it has to be 7 or plus to choose them as a target for that secondary. I kind of wish I had written down what secondaries I took and what the score was and everything. I wonder if I could check on BCP. I doubt it, but maybe. But I vaguely remember how everything went. So this is us playing. Here's his deployment. With this big building in the beginning, I knew what I was thinking. I was like, there's an objective right in the middle. So I was going to move up my Plague Bears into it and just kind of try to hold it. There's also an objective way over here. There's a this dreadnought here, which is kind of the bane of the whole tournament, which is these chaplain dreadnoughts. The weird thing about them, so they're really good. They have a 2-shot las cannon on one arm and then like a power fist on the other. And because they're characters, they can't be targeted unless they're the closest target, unless we have like snipers or something to get away from that. And they're dreadnoughts. They have like 8 wounds or maybe 10 wounds. They have a lot of wounds and they're pretty hard. They have like toughness 7. And they also give out these litanies that chaplains do. So they're really good. The caveat is that Forge World stopped making them. So a lot of people are using conversions, and even Battlefront, Frontline was like, hey, make sure you get those conversions submitted. These models get pulled off the field if they're not approved. And so like, and they're hard to get. You can find some on eBay and some recasters, but like you can't go to Forge World and buy these models anymore. But they got really good in this new rule set. So a lot of armies had them. So it was kind of a panic thing for people at the tournament. So he had a couple of them. I think he had 2 chaplain dreads and then 1 decimator dread up here. Not decimator, that's the chaos one. Contemptor dreadnought, I think it was. Yeah, here's me taking the picture that I shut off later. So this is probably round, let's see, we both have an hour. He's down to 54 minutes, as you can see here, and I'm at 106. So this is probably around 2 or 3. He's got his character bubbles here. I charged up my Demon Prince. Like, I decided after the mini tournament, and I've talked about this a little bit on stream while I was painting, that my Demon Prince with the separating plate was just going to be like, I had a moment. I was like, do I charge into that dreadnought that was there and try to take him out? And I did. I charged in. You can see now here he's at 2 wounds, because what happened was I charged in. I did a lot of damage, and then he just walked away, fall back, and then just shot him with everything he had. No, that's fine. I think he eventually charged it with a smash captain as well, which is a captain with a shield and hammer, and just like obliterated him. And here we go. So now my entire left flank is dead. Looks like he's down to pretty low. I want to say that's like a 19. See if we can zoom in a little bit and see what that says. He's down to like 13 minutes. I'm still at 41. I take pretty fast turns. My army's not super complex. There's not a lot of shooting. Psychic is pretty minimal, and I have 3 psychers. So I take my turns pretty fast. So I was never running down on the clock. I had kind of wished in my last game I had used a chess clock again, but I didn't bring my own. So it's basically if my opponent wanted to use it, I let it happen. But otherwise, yeah. He brought down these Gravitron. What are they called? The guy with the gravity guns that do really good against high armored stuff, and they just annihilated my Nurglings on the objective here. I think the characters also came in and took the objective. So I was already running pretty low on models. But in this game, my Plague Bears, they held the center. And my left side, I cleared out the left side pretty good, but my right flank just crumbled. Yeah, so that's the end of that game. So he ended up getting in the 30 points, like I think like 32 points to my 14. It was a pretty heavy loss. The other problem was like I think I chose recon for one of my objectives, and like I just wasn't getting on all table quarters. It was just not working out for me. Recon means I have to get a unit of mine at least partially in every quarter of the board, every 4 quarters. And I just wasn't doing it. So I think the other thing I chose was like either Big Game Hunter or Marked for Death. So one of the killy ones, and I just wasn't killing enough. And that's something that on the second day, Trent, another guy that went with us, was like, so what kills in your list? And I said, I think that's what I'm finding, is that I don't have enough killy stuff in my list. Like the 2 Demon Princes do well, and the Plague Burst Crawlers and the float drones do well, but then like most of the demon part of the list just don't kill. They just survive. That's what they're there to do. The Plague Bears get 1 attack each. They're only strength 4, strength 5 if they have a character next to them, strength 6 if they really pump it up with the tally, but you have to already be winning at that point. So that was a little rough. But it's okay. He was a super friendly opponent. I kind of expected to lose my first game to kind of drop me in the bracket. Because I wasn't there to win, right? I was there to just have fun and really test out this competitive Warhammer, right? And I think losing to him, especially in this way, was probably a good start and on either front. So after this, we went to have lunch, and now lunch is only like a half an hour. And we had pre-planned this we went and got Subway sandwiches at like 8 a.m. that morning. I went and put it in my refrigerator in my room. So I just took those, and then I left the room. It took me, I timed it. It took me 8 minutes to get from the floor. This table is pretty far in the back. Going up the elevator, going into my room and eating that sandwich, then I timed just 8 minutes, come back down. So, and you can't have outside food in there because the conference wants you to buy their buffet food, which is like really junky stuff. Like it's all fried foods. It's all, and I was like, I just don't really want to do that. And also it was cheaper to do it my way. Yeah, I brought 9 Nurglings. Like that's a lot. I think most people running a similar list only brought 6 just to fill out the battalion. So yeah, I brought more Nurglings than maybe I should have, but using them as engineers, which is I think that's the only secondary I took every round, just meant that they could sit on an objective and rack up points. And generally speaking, I usually maxed out engineers, which is good. I think there's one game where I lost all my engineers, and I think it was the next round. Spoilers. So the next round, these are not great pictures. I'm sorry, it got very blurry. So I was playing against Eldar List, and I come up to the table. I had already lost. I had eaten lunch. I arrive. I'm like, hi, I introduce myself. I said, how you been? And he's like, yeah. And I was looking, I was like, oh, this is going to be a rough game for me. As I looked at his list, it was 6 Eldar flyers. You can kind of see in this picture here, and then a bunch of grav tanks. So like 2 Falcons, 2 fire prisms, and then 3 night spinners. They're like the artillery ones that sit in the back. And then there was a Farseer running around on a jet bike, and I think a Warlock running around on a jet bike. And we were doing the long ways deployment. I think it's called not Hammer and Anvil. I don't know. Where he deploys on this side and I deploy on this side. Oh, sorry, this side. Yeah. So Eldar flyers can only be assaulted by other flyers. So I knew my Demon Prince would have to get in there. So this is probably turn 2, I want to say. So he had flown up all of his flyers, killed a bloat drone that was here. I flew up these 2 bloat drones over here. So we turned 3. I'm not sure, because there was another flyer here, and these bloat drones were flaming it in the air, because they also have like -2 to hit or something crazy like that most of the time, these flyers. I flew this Demon Prince up, my crazy killer guy, and he assaulted. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so I think I just destroyed a flyer with him. I ran up, went blah, 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 killed it, and then all the flyers flew around him and killed that Demon Prince. And then, I don't know if I took much of a picture. Here's another picture, a very, very similar setup. He flew over here. So the beginning of this round, Ben, my opponent, I could tell he was down. And I found out later he was ranked number 13th coming into LVO. So he did not expect to lose his first game and to lose it as badly as he did. So we both had scored 14 points in our first round. And his list is significantly more competitive than mine, which means he came up against a very competitive list. As the game went on, I was just, being my normal self, very friendly, very open, and he opened up a lot. I think he could tell that he was winning at right around this point, and so he got more friendly, and he kind of played it more like a friendly game than a very competitive game. But I could tell that he was a little down. Yeah, it's weird. On this, it says, what does that say? I mean, it looks like turn 6, but it can't be turn 6. Weird. I don't think that's correct, because there's a picture on turn 6 and it looks vastly different than it does now. So this was like turn 5 or something like that. This is the beginning of the end. I took this picture to remind myself of, this is the moment when things start to go bad. Now they're doing everything else on the board was dead except for what you see here of my guys. You can kind of see that there's the Poxbringer up here. Sloppity's right up here, just barely. Let's see if I can, nope, I can't really zoom out. Sloppity Bioparper's like just barely up here. My tanks are alive and my Nurglings are alive, and my Demon Prince and Epidemus. See the count here? I've only killed one thing. And it's like turned, let's say 4 or 5. I'm not positive. Probably 4, maybe. But yeah, then he flew his flyers just so barely to make him the closest for a couple of these guys. The closest point so he could shoot at my Demon Prince that was also my Warlord. Yeah. quickly after this picture, let's see, like, so this is turn 4, like 5 or 6, I got tabled. By the end of turn 6, I was completely out of models. It was rough. I mean, yeah, there just wasn't much I could do. Once he killed my demon princes, I could not assault his planes, and shooting them with -2 was just like impossible. I took mark for death and big game hunter on this one, so I gained some points. I think I scored, I think it was less than the first turn. I think I got like 12 or something. I scored less, and of course I ended up losing. But he was a very nice opponent to in the end. I think in the beginning he was just dealing with his own personal he was sad that he expected himself to be a contender, to make it up in the higher tables. And I think he went on to go like 5-1. So he's a good player, and he brought a very good list. This is actually the list that kind of got me thinking about maybe doing an Eldar army again. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, so in the end, he was very nice, and he taught me a lot. It's also kind of funny, for his damage dice, to like see which of these has wounds on it, he's using Nurgle dice. So I thought that was kind of funny. So I finished my game early. Yeah. So I walk over and check out what Andy's doing. Andy is playing against an orcs list. It's really hard to see. This is an orcs list that this guy's playing against. But it's like these ice orcs. There's a pile of dead orcs here. Yeah. And I thought Andy was winning. It turns out so did he. There was a little bit of a miscommunication on this game. Andy was doing the scoring. The other opponent was not doing the scoring. And again, Andy said he was a very friendly opponent, so nothing there. And Andy thought he was winning by 2 points. Then he re-tallied the points. He had swapped his score for his opponent's score on the second round. Like, he put him in the wrong column. So he was actually losing by 2 points. And so he sat there at the end, like recounting. And he ended up losing instead of winning. It's terrible. But we were pretty tired at this point. There was a slight delay from round 1 to round 2 because the app was taking a while to update for people to get their second pairings. So we had already been playing for an extra hour, or not playing, but on our feet for an extra hour. And yeah, so right here we're an hour behind, and it's already been 4, 5, 6, like 7 hours, right? Like 7 hours at the end of this round, because each round is 3 hours, and then a half an hour for lunch, and an extra hour so maybe like 7.5 hours, in fact. So yeah, we're pretty tired at this point, and I think that's an easy mistake to make. This is a random army I saw on the board. Let's see, B, what did you say? Oh yeah, I know the feeling. Today I played myself as an Imperial Guard, and I got smashed. Yeah, didn't get good missions and lost every model. Yep. It happens. Listen, it happens. I learned a lot that game, and that's really all you can take away from that, is that you're learning. I learned to take different missions against Eldar, and actually, what I learned is don't bring this list against Eldar. But it was still fun. So right now I'm 0-2. I'm walking around looking at people's armies. This is a great army. This guy's like kind of a display board. I think I have it up here. Hadley's Hope, home of the 8th Mobile. He's got like a knight up here, 2 armigers, 1, 2, 3, 4 chimeras, a Werven, and then 1, 2, 3 Leland Russes. This is probably a tank commander. Oh, sorry, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 chimeras, all with squads of 10 guardsmen in it. And then 3 different Leland Russes. Looks like battle cannon, maybe the relic battle cannon, and then a demolisher, probably, with a bunch of heavy bolters. This guy has heavy bolters and a las cannon. Pretty cool list. I love this. Got this like Imperial Guard propaganda on the sides. Yeah, I saw this and just had to take a picture. Yeah, so I went to go clean up. This is basically the end of the board, how it looked. He's still a lot. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 vehicles, and I think both his characters were still up, so pretty good. This is kind of what my tray looked like through the rounds. All my stuff here, and then all the stuff on the trays, on the tray. I went to go check on James's game. Looked like he's playing against an Ultramarines player, or at least they're using Ultramarine models. It could be Accessor chapter. That's the thing with the Space Marines, like you can choose basically any chapter to like try some things out, and that's what they were doing. James looks like he's lost a few here. I sent this picture to my friend just because like there's a bunch of other games that are there. My friend Alex plays Malifaux a lot, and so they got the Malifaux tournament. It looks like, I think because by the time we got out, it was past 6. So like it had been a while. That like the back here, if you look out back here, this is where the stores were, and they're already walled off, and their tournament's probably long gone. These are just playing for fun at the end. Oh, do you? You have the propagandas? That's cool. That's cool. I like them. So this is Jim Vassal's lift. You know who Jim Vassal is? He won first place at like Bay Area Open. He was second ranked in the ITC tournament altogether. Not just barely, but and he brought this list. He's an amazing painter. He's got this display board. He's got this back art to kind of like give this evocative. That's a different picture. I thought I took a different picture of it, but yeah, he brought chaos. He's probably the one who inspired me to start working on my Death Guard and Demons. He obviously here he's bringing a very different list. He's got some Nurglings in the back. He's got this huge possessed bomb with a demon prince. Got 2 apostles. Got the Disco Lord. I forgot the actual name. The Discord Lord, Discordant. Got some cultists. Got a couple Plague Burst cannons. So some parts of my list are in here, just not a lot. So now the app we were using had gone down. They had to do the last pairings by hand. It was a huge thing. We were waiting around for a while, like over an hour, just waiting. Me and my friends decided to go get a drink because they have bars there, because it's Vegas. There's bars right in the gaming hall. So this is me just like waiting around for the next round to start, hanging out, chatting. My anxiety was kind of going up because I'm like, oh man, at this point, we're going to be finished by midnight. And that's what ended up happening. We started, so it would be 11, 10, 9. Yeah, so we started like at 9 p.m. At that point, the game, we were supposed to be done at 7 for the whole day, right? So it's like 10, 11, 12, 1, lunch. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, so like we were going to be done. We were supposed to be done like 7 or 8. And we finished at midnight for the third round. So that was rough. So here I am. I'm playing a Blood Angels player. And what's weird, because the app got screwed up, generally speaking, if you're on a lower numbered table, that means you're higher in the ranks. So you can kind of judge how you're doing the tournament by the table number you're at. I'd been playing the last 2 games. One was on 200, then the second one was on like 325. They put me up on table 45. I think they had flipped the tables, and so like the lower people are playing really high up tables for some reason. The interesting thing about these tables is they have different terrain and different rules for the terrain. There's a little chart that I have a picture of later that kind of like tells you if you're doing the different deployments, you have to move the terrain around so it's very even. And so there's a lot of blocking line of sight terrain. You have these big walls here, you have these styrofoam ones that block line of sight here and here. And it's very even. Like this and this, these 2 corner pieces are very similar in the way they, like their footprint on the table. You have little crates here, and then like if there's a crater over here, there's gonna be a crater opposite, so that every deployment zone gets the same things. So, I forget his name now. It was like Pablo, but not quite. And he was bringing a Blood Angels list. And I've played a lot against Blood Angels because my friend Andy used to play Blood Angels a lot. So I kind of knew what I was going into. We again did I think this is the diamond-shaped deployment. I forget the name of that one. It's like Hammer and Anvil, but opposite. Like it has this little diamond point to it. You can kind of see, I had to play these guys right on the line. So it's kind of this diamond shape here. And then it kind of goes down this way. So this part's flat and this part's diamond. So this is the one where like I had to deploy everything first, or he had to deploy everything first. I don't think we're going unit by unit. Oh no, we are doing unit by unit. Because this is mission 3. As I was deploying, I was like, I think I might be able to win this game. I thought that in the back of my head. He had some really dangerous stuff. So the objectives are really weird. There's objective here. It's like a diamond shaped. One here, one here, one here, one here. So there's like 4 objectives, kind of all in the center. He also had things that were going to deep strike in, so you can see that the way I'm deploying is very conservative. So these guys kind of stretch out. It's a big 30-man unit, right? So they kind of stretch out and curve around. So they'll always have units in the backfield here. There's not 9 inches in between here and here. He can't deploy anywhere in here. I have this guy, bloat drone, another bloat drone in the corner, I think. So there's 9 inches all here to make sure he can't get back there. I have my demon prince here so he can fly over here and start to advance towards these scouts or kill these scouts here. We both had things that could deploy outside of our deployment zone. The Nurglings here are like they're going to try to get this objective and kind of hold up this area. He deployed his scouts here, just out of 9 inches from my guys inside the building. He also has some scouts down here. So he'd already pushed up his zone of influence to pass the middle board. So I think I was like, well, I can't do recon. I'm not doing recon. This is going to be too hard. I think I did Butcher's Bill, because he had a lot of minimum unit squads, which is getting 2 kills a turn. I think I did Marked for Death, or I should have done, I did Engineers, Butcher's Bill. What was the last one? I think I should have done Marked for Death and marked all of his Death Company and Sanguinary Guard. But I think I did something stupid that I like Kingslayer or Headhunter or something, and I didn't get that one. I didn't get any points for that one. This is his deployment. You can see his army kind of up here. He's the same tray as me, but like a very default mouse pad thing, Matt. He had these Devastator squads here with the glass cannons and rocket launchers, and he was hoping to line them up so they could see my Plague Burst crawlers and kill them pretty fast, but that didn't end up quite happening. I don't know what turn this is. It's pretty early, but he brought in his Death Company, and because they were in the building in a diamond, as they flew, they kind of made this like flying V, like the Mighty Ducks. So I had to take a picture of that. I was pretty scared of this unit. The Death Company get a lot of attacks, and there's some power fists in there, and I think some like a power axe, yeah, and then a power sword, but a lot of just chain sword and pistols. But I ended up destroying that unit with a lot of shooting, and then my Demon Prince came out and killed him. So my Demon Prince flew out. He only has 4 wounds left in this picture, and he started just killing everything. And his Smash Captain came out, and I ended up killing his Smash Captain too, reflecting a wound off my separating plate to do a mortal wound back on him. Pretty great. And this is pretty late in the game. I had already wiped out 2 Sanguinary Guard units at this point, and because of the way I deployed with the deep striking, he had to deploy them over here on his side of the board, or at least middle floor, which meant that they were outside of 9 inches to charge. So it worked out pretty great for me. So I was able to shoot them down, whittle them down with some flamers on the plague bursts. Plague drones. This is Astaroth, the one of the Grim, one of the characters, and this is the Smash Captain. There was another Smash Captain down here that I think I murdered with this guy. I flew up, got really close, then flamered him twice. He's got some normal assault guys here, and this just turned into a slog over here. My Nurglings survived 2 units of scouts charging him, a normal unit of intercessors, and then what finally killed them was this assault squad came and charged them in the back and finally wiped out. You can think he only has like 3 wounds left, this one little unit. But yeah, they survived way longer than they should have. And then my big blob started to move up once he got all of his deep strikers down in turn 2 or 3. But yeah, so this is this, and I flew up both of my drones, and I kept making them explode too. That was my #1 strategy with them, is I'd pay 1 command point to make them explode, do 1 mortal wound to a bunch of units. So I flew out him so he would hit like the scouts, the 2 characters. I think he even hit my own guy, but whatever. Like, I don't care. He had some suppressors up here and the Devastator squads. I destroyed this Devastator squad, but I did not destroy the other one. The count got pretty high in this one as I killed a lot of units. This is at 6 to the tally, which means they have a +1 movement, +1 strength, +1 toughness. They get to reroll 1s to hit. The whole army does now. They don't need a Demon Prince around them anymore. And I think that's it. What else? Movement, strength, toughness. Reroll 1s. Oh, because that's right. It's every 2. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't know. And then I finally got to 7. This is probably the first game I ever got to 7 tally, which means I get to re-roll 1s of Disgustingly Resilient, which is pretty good. At this point, I had moved my blob, and they were kind of slowly beating up these guys. He was still holding the objective, though, so I had to get him off this objective. So I started moving my tanks up and my other Demon Prince to try to like take this out. He killed my other Demon Prince. I killed their Smash Captain, but Astaroth was still up, and I think he was trying to figure out if he should move him this way or this way. Oops, sorry, I hit the mic. So that turned into a whole thing. But yeah, I think I ended up winning this match just barely. Not just barely. It was like 28-20 or something. So I won. This is my first win. We finished around midnight. He was a very nice opponent. I feel a little bad because we got to turn 5 or 6. I don't think we finished. I think we got to 5. And he was saying like, oh, if I had 1 more turn. I might be able to retake this objective. I think I wiped these guys off of it and then put my vehicles on it. And then he's like, oh, I could kill those guys off. And I was like, yeah, maybe. I still have my demon prince and stuff, but it was getting close. He was whittling down my plague bears a lot. They didn't die, but they were whittling them down. It was definitely it could have been close, but I felt like I had it in the bag. I was up on enough points that I was going to be holding more, and I still had a few more Butcher's Bill and or Mark for Death. I don't remember. It's like if I killed Astaroth, I would have got another point or something. That should have been Headhunter, I guess. So this is now day 2, early morning day 2. It seemed like all of the problems with the app were now resolved. We were back using it. So that was good. Everyone was kind of relieved, but it was such a late night that I should have mentioned this before. Before turn 3 started, they asked everyone, hey, if you want to instead come in early at 7 a.m. and play that round, then you can do that. But both of me and my opponent were like, let's just play, man. We're already here. We're at the table. Let's just play. So we played until midnight, and then I had to get up at 9 a.m. No, I had to get up at like 8 a.m. to get down to the table by 9:30 for round 4, day 2. Is everyone waiting for round 4 to start? So I got paired up with a Dark Angels. I know, B, you're probably excited. They looked like salamanders, but they're not. They're Dark Angels. And the list was pretty rough. He had 2 Leviathan Dreadnoughts, I think, and one of those new one that looks like the tank from Aliens. I always forget that one. And a repulsor, but the repulsor, instead of the big cannon, had a plasma cannon. There's a whirlwind way in the back here. I think I forgot to take some pictures the first couple turns, and I was like, I'm just gonna do my best. Oh, it was also nice. I met this guy James over here. He's also playing Death Guard. You can see that's the same tank I have here. He didn't do so well though, but it was nice talking to him at least. I pushed all my plague bears into the center here to try to hold it. My DM Prince is here buffing people. My Decimator was over here. Actually, surprisingly, the Decimator did not die this game. He kept moving back and forth and firing his guns. He killed another Dreadnought. I had Epidemus over here. And I made a huge mistake where he should have moved out here and then tried to get on the objective before the end of the round. The Repulsor did some crazy stuff. So he moved it up here because he said he could. And then someone came around I don't know if he was a judge or someone. He's like, that can't go up there. And I was like, and I kind of wanted to be up there because I was like within charge range with my Demon Prince. So we ended up putting it down, but then he let me get the charge anyway, I think is what happened. So what happened is I moved my Demon Prince over here to charge into it. It ended up not going great. This is very indicative of how the game was looking. Most of my stuff was dead. He still had a lot of his backfield. I destroyed this guy, but he still had a lot of these guys, tanks and stuff. I was barely holding on the objective here. I had a guy on this objective down here. I think those were Nurglings. So I was holding 2 at least, but he was also holding 2. And I think he pushed it to this one. Like it was rough. And I think that's the end of that one. He was a very nice opponent, though. He even friended me on Facebook. We were talking. He's a fireman from Utah. He gave me a lot of tips about like what I should do with this army or try a different army. He's like, my list isn't that competitive either, but it worked very well against yours because a lot of 2 damage things or 3 damage, or he used a lot of stratagems that like I think were Dark Angels ones where instead of rolling a D3 for damage, he's automatically got 3 damage, which is pretty good. He had a tech marine running around with those tanks and just healing up all the damage I was doing anyway, which is kind of rough. But Iron Hands have a better stratagem for that, where they get to max that as well. So, but yeah, very friendly. It was a good game. I ended up getting 8. It was pretty close. It was like 18 to 22, or no, 18 to 20. I think it was 18 to 20. Like it was really close. If we only made it to like turn, I want to say 4. So like, oh no, it might have been turn 5 because we thought we only had enough time left, and he's like, oh, it'll go fast. And I said, he's like, do you just want to talk it out? Which is like, you kind of assume what's going to happen. And I was like, well, no, let's play it out. We got time. And so we ended up doing that. So I think we finished the game. Now I think about it. It was just really fast back and forth. But by the end, I didn't have much left. I had like a tank left and I think Sloppity, who was hiding in the back. But it was close. It was very close. Points wise. All right. So we had lunch again and went up really quick, ate my sandwich, come back down. So this is turn 5, game 5. I go to my table. I'm supposed to be playing, I think it's the guy, James, I met before. We had a very similar list. And this happened to a lot of people. He just dropped out. He never showed up to the table. So you give them, I think it's a 5-minute to 10-minute wait. If they don't show up, then you go up to the judge's booth and they pair you up with someone whose opponent also didn't show up. If it goes odd, I think you get a free buy, but ours lined up perfectly. They said, okay, who has won one game? Okay, all you guys. And then they like, have you two played? Okay, you guys are playing it. You two played? Okay, you guys are playing. You guys have played? Have you guys played? Okay, no, they just like pair up really quickly. It's technically probably not as balanced because the way the app does it is how much points you've earned. So it'd be like we both won one game, but we also scored like 38 points total. Then we'd play each other. But, you know, this worked out because like we didn't have opponents, so we might as well just play. So we were kind of down on time. We go to like 350 is the table number. He has a very similar list to my friend Andy's list with the Tau, but only 2 Riptides. So I was like, I start setting up and I was like, okay, could I win this game? I don't know. I've a lot of practice against this list. I have good board control. I might be able to. You can see here, I think he already destroyed one of my tanks. Because I only see 2 here. My decimator moved up here. So this is probably like turn 2. I'm getting a little sloppy with taking pictures now. I'm very tired. I can see I'm moving up on my right flank with both bloat drones to try to take out these pathfinders. And there's an objective over here if I can try to contest it. I have my other Demon Prince moving up in this corner. I think it's a picture of that. Yeah, here we go. Demon Prince on the left flank who is going to go kill these pathfinders, or I think that's what they're called. Yeah, they're rough. The Pathfinder, and also you can't even shoot them. If you shoot them, the little drones, shield drones, will jump in and take the wounds. It's rough, man. But I have a lot of experience with this army, so I just aggressively moved up my Plague Bearers, and he must have not known my army very well because he was really scared of my Plague Bearers. And you see, I'm chaining him out because he had sniper drones that could kill my characters. That's something else I learned in my last game. He had these, what are they called? Assaulters or no? They're basically the Primaris scout snipers. And he just killed my characters hiding in the back. So this one I learned. I stretched out these guys. They're touching this objective here. They go all the way around here, back here, so these guys can cast their buffs on them while hiding behind the wall from the snipers. And I have Epidemus down here doing the count. I have both units of my engineers down here on the objective, just racking up those points. He's doing marker lights on me. This must have been turn 1 or turn 2. Probably turn 2 because my thing got destroyed. That's another interesting fact. So I had these guys like kind of... So as you hear, I have this little marker here because I had cast Miasma of Pestilence on them, so they're -2 to hit, which is pretty good against Tau. Although they have marker lights, so you know that kind of gets negated at times. I have my tape measure here for some reason in the middle of the board. So this is my Demon Prince sneaking up the side with Nurglings here. Nurglings here were just here to get recon. They sat here the entire game, just past the middle part to hold that section and get recon. One of the few games where I chose recon and actually gained the recon points. And this Demon Prince is going to fly up and attack these guys. He's doing his giant middle finger here to all the dead Tau. Are those dead Tau or is that from the other game? That's Tau. I guess I didn't take any more pictures of this game. Let's go back here. So I moved these guys. I pushed them into the center because these guys are holding this quarter here, and eventually they did die, but I kept getting them back here and flaming things, and they exploded. I pushed these guys past the midpoint. I think at the end I lost all my tanks, but I had done enough damage to where I came out winning by, I think, 4 points, like 24 to 20. It was a good game. The guy... I understand this a little bit. He got a little contentious near the end, but I think it was a good game. It was very close. I think if he would have, I don't know. I'm not sure what. I can't remember. Oh, he took Kingslayer on Epidemus, and he had some deep strikers, but did the same thing. I spread out a lot. He probably should have deep struck his stealth guys down here to try to kill Epidemus. Because that was like 4 points he just didn't get, and I think that would have probably either tied it or made him win. It was rough. It was a rough game, but you know he was a very nice opponent. We again didn't have a ton of time, so we're kind of playing fast and trying to get as much turns as we could. I don't remember what turn we got to. I don't think we got to 6. So it was, that's why probably we scored so little, like 22 to 20 or 22 to 18, something like that. The problem was, like, I got kill more a lot, I got hold more a lot, so a lot of the primary objectives I was getting while he was getting secondaries. So that's just, and I got recon a lot, and I got engineers. Those was my big ones. And our sneaky boy coming through the side. This is just a random army I saw that had some Death Guard in it. You can see they have the Death Shroud Terminators, or just Nurgle Terminators with some Poxbringers. A very compact army. This tray is like probably half the size of my tray. And here we go. The last game of the tournament. Get round 6. What was his name? It was Amir, I think. Maybe. So this is one where, God, I wish I had a chess clock, because he had so many units. Like, there'd have been like 200 boys here. This is 30. There's another 30 in there. He had big 20-man of Gretchen here, Gretchen here, Gretchen here, Gretchen here. And it was, again, this like long tables quarters. It was rough. I deployed right on the line here, thinking I was going to push forward a lot. In the very beginning of the game, one of his friends came by and he's like, "This guy's shooting Gretchen. It's so weird." And I was like, "Hey man, I got to get a kill in the first round. I can't kill 30 boys in one turn." So, did I take recon on this one? I don't know what I took. I should have probably also tried to take like a mark for death. I definitely took Reaper and engineers. I think the third one was, whatever my third one was, it was a mistake. Because I got Reaper and I got engineers. I got both those, but I did not get whatever the other one was. I don't know. I don't know if it was Headhunter or something stupid. I don't know. Or was Recon, and I was failing to get that because I couldn't get past all of this giant body of boys that I couldn't get through. Stream highlight: Fred, the fan favorite, had died. I forgot where I had put him up, and some of the first couple casualties from the Ludas, which are those really, really good shooting orc guys, I just picked him up. I lay my guys dead here first, so I remember to take leadership and how much I've lost that round, that kind of stuff. And he died. But I rolled a 1 for leadership, which brings back D6 guys, so Fred got resurrected. Unfortunately, later in the round, that whole unit gets wiped out except for one guy, and it wasn't Fred. Oh yeah, I guess I was so tired, I didn't take a lot of pictures in these rounds. So, what had happened is all these boys kind of like moved up here. He jumped one of them, which is a psychic power where they lift him up from the wall of power and then drop them down over here and charged into the plague bears. Plague bears, I probably should have used a stratagem to give them +1 invul save to let them last a little longer, but I failed to remember to do that. The same strategy here. The bloat drones moved up here with the Doom Prince behind. This Doom Prince did work this game. He probably killed 38 boys just by himself. He came in, killed some Gretchen. He gets charged by this war boss on bike, but he survives thanks to his amazing save of 2 up, 4 up with a 5 up, feel no pain. Then kills the war boss. The war boss dies, but he uses a stratagem where he can fight again in death, and brings my guy down to like 2 wounds. I save him, rolling crazy saves. And then the Demon Prince flies over here, fights a bunch of boys, because all these boys are now up on my grill. He fails to realize that all these tanks have flamers on them, so then starts charging in. I do D6 flamers, just murdering boys left and right. I back up. Slight controversy here. Again, I've been playing for, 2 12-hour days, right? Something like that. I didn't get a lot of sleep because I played till midnight the night before. I pick up one of my stratagem cards, and I thought what it said was that they could fall back and still shoot. Turns out, rereading it later, I think I was just allowed to advance and move, and then it took away the penalty for that. So I mildly cheated with one of my tanks. So that was a little rough, like in hindsight, to realize that. I mean, I don't know if he got all of his rules, perfectly. I definitely felt bad about it, and I realized it after the game. So what happened was this guy was in combat here. He got charged. I retreated, and they charged out of the building, so I didn't even get to do Overwatch. And so then I pulled him back, used the command points to use the stratagem, thinking I could then shoot. The other 2 tanks could shoot because I had moved them back. They were not in combat. So basically, I had gained 2d6 flamers and like a mortar. I yeah, I don't really know what to do about that. I definitely will not do it again now that I know that. But he ended up still winning. It was, again, a 2-point game. I think it was 20-18. And whatever my third secondary was, I probably shouldn't have chose that. Probably should have chosen, again, Mark for Death, because I think these 30-man boys were over... although, can you do Mark for Death and Reaper on the same unit? You might not be able to. There's a few that you can't stack, so maybe it's better I didn't. I think I took Old School. I took Old School. And his Warlord was up here, and my Demon Prince was right here, and I had a choice of, like, do I charge the Ludas and the weird guns? What are they called? Shaka guns? I don't know. And try to kill the Warlord? It's risky. He only had a couple wounds left, but I ended up falling back and wiping up the boys here. And again, we only made it to like turn 4, and I was like, if we were using a chess clock, he would have timed out, and I would have tons of time left. But that's a learning experience. And also, at these low tables, I feel like it can be perceived as a dick move to use a chess clock, because you're basically just playing for fun at that point. But yeah, all right, yeah, Fred, yep. So I go back to this is way later. And I go to the hotel room, and of course there's Star Wars on the TV. So I'm like, I'm in Vegas. I'm in my hotel room, and of course Star Wars is on. Just like a funny aside of like, this is what I'm doing when I'm in Vegas, is I'm watching Star Wars. I didn't really watch it that much, but it was on. So this is day 3. So in the third day of the tournament, only the top 8 advance. The previous day, so we played 6 games total. And if you are undefeated in that round and you have enough points, if you're 6-0 and you have enough points, you play a shadow round. These ones are not scored for points per se, but if you win that, then you get to advance. That's if there's more than 8 people who have not lost any games, they do a shadow round. So that happened, and those people finish at midnight. But I think we left at that point. We went and got food. We hung out with the other guys. Everyone's recapping their 2 days. We didn't have none of our guys went to the shadow round or day 3. We hang out, we go out and get food. Everyone's telling all their stories. That was a fun night. I think it might have been the latest night that I was out. I'm not positive. We met someone in the hotel room, then we went down to one of the bars, all this kind of stuff. So day 3, they're playing. This is the stream setup they had on Warhammer TV. We got this like 3 different cameras. These are like pintle mounted cameras. Basically, they can like gyroscope everywhere. This one is looking at the dice, I believe, and it looks like a DSLR camera. They have someone controlling the stream here. They have the 2 commentators here. This is Reese, who helps run Frontline Gaming and the tournament. And I forget this guy's name, but he also works at Frontline, and he also, but he runs like one of the painting companies, I think, that Frontline has, that paints miniatures for people. A lot of people have these like jerseys if they're on pro teams. You can see this guy here. This is Richard Siegler, and here's a judge wearing his shirt, and he's playing, I think, against the Eldar player, Sean Naden. I'm not positive. So this is the final day when the top 8 play. So that's what, 4 games then, right? Because it goes 8 down to 4, down to 2, down to 1. Wait, maybe it's just 3 games then. It's just 3 games. I don't know what game this is. I think this is game 2-ish. But yeah, there's like sets of games, obviously. And I think they had another streaming table off to the right of this. This I just took because some of the tables were a little lumpy. And so they had these like long tables, and there's 3 of them, and that makes up the 6x4 table you're playing on. As you can see, they're cleaning up all the other tables because they don't need anymore. They don't need that many tables the second day. I forget who was Eldar Army this is, but I thought it was really cool. Oh, this is James's or Ian's or Gordon. One of the guys in our club, his brother came up from San Diego, and he brought this list. A pretty cool Eldar list. I just thought it was cool. They have these like painted squares on them for the Harlequins. This is what I was talking about earlier let's zoom in a smidge here. So this is the deployment zones at the top 100 tables. So all the top 100 tables have the exact same terrain. And depending on the deployment zone that you are playing in, you have to set up the terrain differently. Super interesting and super even in like the way it's set up. So the one we did was this one, and that Hammer and Anvil. Or no, sorry, it was this one, Spearhead Assault. So yeah, you can see we in the previous game it has these 2 diamonds here, the kind of these terrains. Oh, ours was probably a little more arrowy. I don't think we quite set up like that. I think we set up little differently, but that's fine. I mean, again, we weren't at the top table, but if you were playing top players, you would set up very exactly. But it's interesting, yeah, to see have these like super even tables with very precise terrain. Like that's usually not the case when you're playing Warhammer. You kind of like set up with your opponent kind of like higgledy-piggledy, just like, oh yeah, I'm going to put this here, and you just kind of like decide on that. But it's really interesting to see these and work and play with that. Here's just more video of the players. So this is actually the top game, the last game in LVO. Richard Siegler versus Ben Cowder, I think his name is. And of course, it's Space Marines versus Space Marines. We have our Raven Guard player over here and Iron Hands on this side. Very top players, obviously. These are like the top of the top. This is the game. You guys are undefeated right now. I think going, was it 6, 7, 8? They're both like 8-0 or something crazy like that. Like top, opponents. A lot of people are watching. So what's interesting is like the game's here, but you can't really hear what the players are saying or what the judges are saying, all that kind of stuff. So people are like watching with their iPads up so they can hear the commentary and hear the players talk, so they're mic'd up. Pretty interesting. I was pretty far back. This is just all the mats. So they're like recycling some of their mats now. And so they had a big sale. You could kind of see here, you get like them for $40, about half off. So I really thought about it. I didn't end up buying any. My friend Andy and them, they bought 3 for the club for a pretty reduced price. I thought there was a video, but I just thought this was funny. This is an award from the friendly tournament, and they spelled Warhammer wrong. Warhammer. I forget what I took a picture of this. This is like the rounds and the times. I think just to like really punctuate that we were running so late. Yeah, we're supposed to finish at 5:15. Oh no, this is when it starts. So 5, 6, 7, 8. It would have finished at 8:15, and we finished at midnight. And then yeah. And then the second day we finished pretty much on time. I don't think there were any real delays. Maybe like 10 to 15 here or there, but nothing crazy. And you can see here's the shadow round. So if only applies to players if they're ranked within the 5th and 12th kind of thing. And then the top 8 players play their last games on Sunday. This is about where I finished up, was down here. Barry Super Heavies, 538 out of roughly 800. And then as a last little like on when I'm about to fly back, I think I have more pictures, but the plane is full. I failed to get priority seating. I'm one of the last boarding groups, and I have to check my models. Very sad. Very, very sad. This is my model case here. A bunch of other people that are checking stuff. Because I'd carried it on with me on the way up because I didn't want to get anything damaged, and I didn't have any breakages. I had one model break during play. My sloppity fell over in his arm. I had to super glue it. That's not a huge deal. And checking it here, of course, there are a few breakages now because they threw it in the back with everyone else's luggage, and it's surrounded by foam and everything. But sometimes you get some bad luck. I think this is me. This is just like some random photos now I have of models pretty close to the tournament and how they were unpainted. I don't really know why I put these in here. I just did. That's basically the main part of LVO. We're kind of done with the topic of LVO now. I don't know what to say. So I ended up going 2-4, right? I kind of was expecting to win one game. Oh no, I wanted to win one game. I was going in like, man, do not go 0-6. Do not go 0-6. There is a trophy. There was a brief moment on day 1 after game 2 while I was waiting for the round to start. I was like, do I just shoot for the moon and go for the lowest scoring player at LVO? But it should be hard, actually. You'd have to like kind of try to do that. Because there's a trophy for it, for getting last place at LVO, I guess without dropping out. I don't know if dropouts count, because a lot of people didn't play their last 2 rounds. You would get 0 points for those. So I don't know. I'm not positive. But I didn't. I was like, once I saw my 3rd round opponent, I was like, I think I can win this game. And I ended up winning it. And I ended up winning another game. So 2-4 is not bad. We'll see how I feel about next year. If I try to I'm going to really try harder. At the moment, I feel like I'm going to try to become more competitive. I already signed up for a tournament February 23rd. I have no idea what I'm going to bring. There's part of me that wants to go back and bring my Imperial Guard. There's part of me that is thinking about maybe Eldar. I know Rachel wants me to try to give Sisters of Battle a chance, but that'd be a whole new army. Whereas at least Eldar, I own some models. Imperial Guard, of course, I have a fully painted army for that one. I don't know. It's a really tough choice. I don't really know. Eldar have never been bad, as my friend Andy put it. Like, they've always been able to compete. Sisters are a big question mark right now. Their book just came out. I mean, not just came out, but they're still pretty new. But yeah, it was a good time. I definitely, there was a moment in day one where I was like, why did I even sign up for the champions? This is a terrible idea. And actually, the first opponent I ever had, he's the one that told me, he's like, you knew you brought an uncompetitive list, right? And I was like, I was very friendly by the time. I was like, oh yeah, no, I knew, blah, blah, blah. And it was a friendly banter. But I was thinking to myself, like, you don't have to point that out. That kind of hurts. It's like I spent a lot of time on this army, you know. I spent a lot of time on stream painting it and building it and reading the rules and really making sure I knew how to play it. And I did. I think I probably made, well, besides that one mistake on the last game, I think I forgot the decimator would heal one wound every turn. I kind of forgot about that sometimes. I really failed to do my own tallies, and I'd have to ask my opponent, like, how many full units have I destroyed a couple times to like remake sure I get the tally correct. I thought I was going to really be on that, but turns out when you're in a tournament setting, there's a lot of stuff to do, a lot of stuff to remember, a lot of stuff to write down. So I fell back on that. Are there other tournaments you can go play? Oh yeah, totally. There's so Game Post, the place I'm playing at, and there's one in Antioch right now. There's one that a couple people I went to LVO with are at that tournament right now. So there's constant tournaments you can go to smaller tournaments, like 10 to 16 players, something like that. Then there's Bay Area Open is a good one. There's the SoCal Open. Those are both kind of pretty close. And they're like over 100 players, I'm pretty sure. They're what they call a grand tournament scale. So there's definitely you can go play those places. There's Adepticon. That's in Chicago, though. That's where big players go play. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of tournaments I could go practice. But what's interesting is as the year goes on, the meta changes. So like what won at Barry Open this year did not win LVO because new books come out, new rules come out, and chasing that meta is like a full-time job. And I don't think I'm that type of player. But it's fine. Like as long as but I do want to try to bring something a little more competitive. I don't know what that means because by the time LVO rolls around next year, the meta will probably be completely different. Like what is good now will not be good then, most likely. Like compared lists from this year to last year's LVO, the Castellan Knight was in like everybody's list, and now people still brought it because they had it probably and it was made their old list, but you barely saw any at the hot top table. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, I could. Nothing would stop me unless the rules drastically change from using the army I did this year with next year. Yeah, nothing would stop you. There's no rules that say you have to bring a new army or anything. And some people probably did bring. Andy brought a very similar army that he brought to other tournaments. He went to the South SoCal Open, which is in San Diego, I think, one of the like old military bases, Navy bases, I mean. And he brought a very similar list from that. It's just, generally speaking, as time goes on, people edit their lists because the lists are going to be facing change or better things come out. So that's really what happens. And we're in a time and place where, like, when I was playing Warhammer when I was a kid, things took forever to come out. Like, books would come out probably one every 6 months. Now they're coming out like one every month, one every 2 months, like really fast release times. As Games Workshop kind of becomes this like big company. We're actually in an elevator with one of the chief designers of the Warhammer rule set, and my friend Andy asked, "Oh, do you know James so and so?" And he works down in the Texas office, and he's like, there was a time when I knew everyone that worked at Games Workshop. He's like, now as we're growing, I'll walk into a room and not know who any of the people are that are working at the same company as me. And I could say the same thing about us, right? Like, I don't know everyone that works in the London office. I don't know everyone that works in the Singapore office. It's just the way it goes. The bigger global company you get in, the bigger it is. So, and I think because they're growing at an exponential rate, they're just, the hobby's growing at an exponential rate. This is the biggest tournament that LVO has ever had. 500 tables, 1,000 players just for the champions, and there's other bunch of turns going on as well. So it's really interesting to see the hobby the way it is now compared to what it was. It definitely had a slump in the 2000s mid to late 2000s, but now it's exploding, which is crazy. Someone did mention, someone's like, oh man, it's going to be like the new D&D. And I'm like, me and Brian Pullen were just like, nope, it's definitely not. They're drastically different. D&D had, major pulp culture things happen to make it explode. Stranger Things, Critical Role, like these juggernauts of getting people into it. Even Adventure Zone, and on the base level, D&D is cooperative. You can play with your friends. But Warhammer's not. It's a competitive game, and the overhead, the buy-in to play Warhammer is so different from D&D. D&D, I can invite you over. You don't have to buy anything. I'll give you the dice. You could borrow dice. You could even have a communal one dice set and be fine. You don't have to buy any of the books just to play. You can download the character sheet off the internet for free, and then make your character with your DM, and you can play D&D for free with your friends and have a good time. Warhammer, like, you have to buy the models, build them, paint them, also know how to play someone that knows the rules, have a table, a 6x4 table, which is bigger than most dining room tables, have terrain on there, and dice. It's insane. It's a lot. And I don't think that's gonna... even the percentage of players, that even percentage of the market share of people who play 40K don't play competitively. It's something like the top 1% or maybe the top 2% play competitive Warhammer. All the rest of people, some just like the lore, they read the books, they play the video games, they watch the new TV show they're working on, and then they buy models every once in a while. The competitive players are such a small percentage of it that, like, and they're the ones, that's what they want. They want LVO and the tournaments to be the next big D&D. But they don't. They have to think about the past. D&D there used to be competitive D&D at Gen Con. That is no longer the case. There is like maybe one game. Like, people don't play competitive D&D. It's like a group storytelling game. And Warhammer is not that. There is a narrative tournament, the narrative campaign that happens at LVO, but that's like 20 players. It's not anything as big as the Champions, which is 1,000 players, roughly. I think there was 1,000 that signed up, and probably hovering around 700, 800 actually played. A lot of people buy tickets. It's not that expensive, like $100 to $40 to just buy the champion tournament ticket. And, people drop out or change their ideas. So I think I paid $120 because it's like $60 for the 3-day ticket to go to the convention, and then $40 for the Champion League tournament. So a lot of people that buy the wristband to get into the convention don't play in the Champions tournament, right? There's a bunch of other tournaments. There's Bolt Action, Malifaux, War Machine, Age of Sigmar, like all these other games. Then, of course, I had a couple people who just came for painting or to hang out or watch games. Not everyone played. So I think the base entry is like $40. But I paid, $120, I think. I think that's right. Maybe it's 60 and then 4. I don't know, something like that. Yeah. It was fun. I foresee myself going next year as well. At the moment, I'm saying I'm going to do the Champions again, but we'll see. I mean, going 2 and 4, that's better than I wanted to do. So I think it was worth it. If I had gone 0 and 6, I maybe would have swapped to the narrative or the friendly again. My main problem with the friendly tournament, and I mentioned this in the last video, was the friendly. It was a weird mix. Like, you had to get your list pre-approved. It was power level instead of points, and just didn't seem fair. It just didn't seem balanced. Like, I wanted it to be balanced missions, and that's ITC. That's the Champions.